1. Napoleon's army defeated by rabbits. In 1807, Napoleon Bonaparte decided to celebrate the signing of the Treaty of Tilsit by organizing a rabbit hunt for himself and his top generals. Over 3,000 rabbits were collected and released into a field, expecting them to scatter for an easy hunt. However, instead of fleeing, the rabbits charged at Napoleon and his men. These were domesticated rabbits, accustomed to humans as a source of food. The swarm overwhelmed Napoleon and his generals, forcing them to retreat, even chasing Napoleon into his carriage. This bizarre episode left everyone laughing at how the mighty emperor was defeated by hungry rabbits. 2. The war that lasted 38 minutes. In 1896, after the death of Sultan Hamad bin Muhammad of Zanzibar, the British Empire wanted to install a new sultan loyal to their interests. However, Sultan Khalid bin Barghash declared himself the rightful ruler. The British gave him an ultimatum to step down, but he fortified the palace and prepared for resistance. When the deadline expired on August 27, 1896, British warships began shelling the palace. Within 38 minutes, the palace was destroyed, over 500 of Khalid's supporters were killed, and he fled to the German consulate. This marked the shortest war in history. 3. Caligula's war against the sea. Roman Emperor Caligula, 37–41 AD, was known for his eccentricities and erratic behavior. In one of his oddest acts, he declared war on Neptune, the god of the sea, after a failed expedition blamed on rough seas. He ordered his soldiers to attack the waves with swords and spears and later commanded them to collect seashells as spoils of war. These bizarre actions remain one of the strangest moments of his tumultuous reign. 4. The trial of Pope Formosus' corpse. Pope Formosus, who died in 896, was posthumously tried by his successor, Pope Stephen VI, in 897. The corpse of Formosus was exhumed, dressed in papal robes, and placed on a throne to face charges of treason and violating church laws. A deacon answered on behalf of the corpse during the trial. Formosus was found guilty, and his fingers, used for blessings, were cut off, and his body was thrown into the Tiber River. This event, known as the Cadaver Synod, shocked the public and led to Stephen VI's eventual downfall. 5. A football match that sparked a war. In 1325, a football match between the Italian cities of Florence and Siena turned violent after a dispute over a goal. What began as a heated argument escalated into a street brawl, with spectators joining in. The clashes spread through both cities, causing chaos and resulting in numerous deaths. This event highlights how even recreational activities can spiral into violence if tempers are unchecked. 6. The war over a wooden bucket. In 1325, soldiers from the Italian city of Medina stole a wooden bucket from a well in Bologna. What started as a petty theft escalated into a full-blown war that lasted 12 years. Thousands died in the conflict, yet Bologna never retrieved the bucket. Today, the stolen bucket is displayed in Medina as a symbol of their victory in this bizarre war. 7. The Emperor and the Deadly Cup of Tea. Cosimo II, Grand Duke of Tuscany, was one of the first European nobles to embrace tea drinking. One day, while standing and drinking tea, he tripped and fell, sustaining serious injuries. Lacking modern medical care, his wounds worsened, and he died days later. This incident serves as a reminder of how even minor accidents could be fatal in historical times. 8. Masada and the mass suicide. In 73 AD, nearly 960 Jews sought refuge in the fortress of Masada during a Roman siege. After months of resistance, the Romans built a massive ramp to breach the fortress. Realizing their defeat was inevitable, the rebels decided to commit mass suicide to avoid enslavement. They drew lots to determine who would carry out the killings and who would take their own life last. When the Romans entered, they found only silence and bodies. This story has since become a symbol of resistance and sacrifice. 9. The man who waged war on doors. In 19th-century France, a man named Jean-Baptiste Dumas suffered from a psychological disorder that made him believe doors were conspiring against him. He would attack doors in the streets of Paris daily, causing alarm among residents. Eventually, authorities confined him to a psychiatric hospital, where he became known as the enemy of doors. This story highlights the peculiar nature of mental illness in history. 10. The man who sold the Eiffel Tower twice. Victor Lustig, one of history's greatest con artists, exploited rumors about the Eiffel Tower's expensive maintenance in the 1920s. He convinced wealthy businessmen that the government intended to sell the tower as scrap metal. He successfully scammed one group and fled, only to repeat the scheme with another group later. Despite his ingenuity, Lustig was eventually caught and jailed after a series of high-profile cons.